Hey, listen, when there's smoke, there's fire, and you know we got to talk about it.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them.
This was the day a lot of people, a lot of haters have been waiting for when it comes to the European League of Football. When there's smoke, there's fire, and there's been a lot of things leading up to this. But last week is where the European football landscape took a hit, took a shock. Breaking news: Commissioner of the European League of Football, Patrick Asume, steps down. Mind blown, mind blown. Right? How did we get here? What do we think of this? There's only one platform and one podcast where we could talk about it and break it down. So locker room, you know how this works. Drop a comment, let me know what you think, and let's dive into it. First and foremost, want to give a shout out to the Fourth Down Fiasco boys, and if you're not following them on YouTube, definitely go give them a follow. But they kind of broke down, um, you know, last week's podcast in regards to like the EFA and the relationship with the ELF and everything that's been going on there. Little did we know that we were going to get the Patrick Asume news just days later, right? Patrick Asume, all right, stepped down from the European League of Football after 4 years, 5 years in the role, right? He was the guy with the vision, right? He was the guy with the vision in regards to starting the league with CEO Jelko, right? This is a league that started during COVID. This is a league that started during COVID with all the rules and regulations, all the restrictions. It was been a growing success, I would say, at least finding ways to improve in and off the field. So it was breaking news when we found out that he was going to be stepping down from the position. All right, now he says he's going back to football bromance and covering the NFL, but there's a deeper story to this, right? In his comments that he made when he posted his reaction, based on what I could translate from it, it came to a lot of differences. Him and CEO weren't in line when it comes to the future of the European League of Football. I know financial capabilities came into play here, right? And then you start hearing and seeing, some of the things that have been coming out in regards to sticking up for Patrick Asume, right? You think about Bjorn Warner, right? Former owner of the Berlin Thunder, right? He came out and flat out said, like, listen, I wish the whole truth would come out. Basically, I wish the whole truth would come to light someday. Patrick has sacrificed more than most will ever know. What looks like a harmonious farewell here was in reality a long, painful battle behind the scenes, right? That sounds like shots. That sounds like shots going right at Jelko, right? Obviously, there's some differences made, but that sounds like shots. And to Patrick, if the relationship was that bad, why did it take you 5 years to get out? Why did it take you 5 years to get out? That's my question. That's my question in regards to that. All right. Let's look at another one. Right. Again, this is all in support of Coach Asume. Um we got Sammy who used to do like Twitch and they and live streams live from games. He flat out just came in and said like he's thanking Sume for his time, for everyone that asked in recent months why after 4 years he stopped standing. From behind the scenes conversations, basically. Again, he had a podcast with over 25,000 loyal fans. He could no longer look into the camera and speak into a microphone with clear, concise, knowing what was happening behind the scenes. Hey, when there's smoke, there's fire, right? When there's smoke, there's fire, right? So again, that's a little bit behind that as well too, right? So how did we get here, right? Well, let me tell you. 2 years ago, there was this little organization that was softly announced called the EFA, European Football Alliance, right? Basically, what their goal was to create basically fairness and equality, right? So we think about the European Football Alliance, made up of the following teams. I know Nordic was just the most recent one to join. Still waiting to see if others are going to join, similar to like the Surge, and the Munich Ravens, and just to see like what this going to come out. And a lot of people are speculating that this is going to be the new ELF. Now, will it be? Is it going to be? No, I don't think we'll go there. But they are going to have a say in what the ELF looks like. They are a legitimate threat to the ELF. Legitimate threat to ELF. Again, the EFA. What is it? What does it mean? This was an alliance formed with shared missions to raise the quality, sustainability, and visibility of tackle football throughout Europe by fostering collaboration, sharing resources, and promoting best practices. The EFA seeks to build stronger franchises, engage communities more deeply, and ensure that sports long-term success on the continent. Right? They come in here with a bang. The EFA, who would have thought the EFA would come in and be the one to take down the ELF, right? To put belt to butt in the ELF and make sure things are getting done the right way, right? And that's essentially basically what the EFA did, right? Again, bunch of owners, a bunch of high-profile teams that are collaborating in regards to looking to change everything that has been going on behind the scenes in the ELF, right? And then we get this news, right? So, long story short, co-CEO and CFO Zeljko will be stepping down at the end of this season. So I have no Asume, I have no Zeljko. Basically, their time is done, and the ELF is going to have new ownership, new chairman, new commissioner, new vision. So who knows what the future of the ELF holds, right? But we could say that the EFA played a role in change. The EFA played a role at putting a foot down to say, listen, we're not standing for this with whatever was going on behind the scenes, and make a statement that, listen, things need to change, right? And basically everything that's been trickling out, right? A lot of it has to do with financials. Like when you, for example, I'll give you the Barcelona Dragons example. When you think about the Barcelona Dragons, and granted, they had a ton of issues themselves. I'm not here to kind of, discard them from all the issues that they had. But when you hear things about how players aren't getting paid, whether it's Barcelona or any other program, you start looking at ownership. But then you start looking at, well, why aren't teams getting paid, right? There's the revenue sharing. It seems like there's an issue with the revenue sharing. It seems like teams are getting paid. It seems like, listen, somebody owes me some money, right? It seems like somebody owes me some money, and I need to find out where my money is, right? And granted, kudos to the organizations if that's the case, right? Allegedly, if that's the case and it's money related, kudos to the organizations for, putting an end to just getting bullied by the ELF, right? Azuma even said, like, no one's getting rich except the league, right? No one's getting rich except the league. So if that's the case, where are those funds? Where are those euros? Where's all that money going, right? You have a great product. You got 3 new investors. You got Dubai money coming in. You got owners of soccer clubs coming in. You got owner of Fubu TV coming in. Like, you're clearly going in the right direction, but you're not taking care of your own. You're not taking care of your teams. You're not making sure these teams are functioning correctly and they don't have the resource to function correctly. That seems ass backwards. If you ask me. Another thing that wanted to share with the statement that came out today, right? Let's bring that screen back up. And let's get a little closer look. One thing I want to point out, right? As we look to the future and enthusiasm of the ELF continues to grow, the new co-CEO will be tasked with working closely with the European Football Alliance to address key opportunities in governance, league regulations, and franchise expansions. The strategic focus coupled with the long interest, blah, 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 blah. Basically, what they're saying is, it's your problem now. They're basically saying to new investors, listen, you have fun with this. We did what we were supposed to do. This is your problem now. This is on you. All right. You guys are going to have to figure it out. Right. That's basically what I'm getting from that. So, again, kudos to the EFA for starting this, for getting this situated, for, leading to change that's going to hopefully promote a great product in European League football. And when you look back on the past of the ELF, you start to question some things in regards to, did they expand too quick, right? In regards to teams, like, was the vision to get to 24 too quick, right? Did you get the right people Well, clearly we know that they didn't clearly vet the right ownership. When you have ownership in Leipzig having issues, when you have ownership in Milan having financial issues and they have to step out, when you got ownership with other programs, the Istanbul Rams didn't last a year, right? So when you have ownerships and they're not being vetted properly, that's when you get like these type of issues. However, I would say over the past 2 years, they did a much better job of vetting ownership. Just look at the Madrid Bravos, who's on the verge of making the playoffs for the second year in a row in their second season, and look at the Nordic Storm that just clinched a playoff berth. So they have done a good job of getting the right people in place to make sure that they are creating a marketable product and a sustainable product, right? Because that's what the league needs. It's not necessarily getting to a certain amount of teams. It's having competitive teams, the right amount of teams, and not having a watered down product, right? So, but big news today, co-owner, chairman, Jelko stepping out at the end of the season. Azume announced last week he's stepping down at the end of the season. The ELF's going to look a whole lot different. I tell you what, week 12 came at a great time. Week 12 came at a great time for this to kind of, slow down before we start ramping things back up and get closer to the season. And again, what does the future of the ELF look like? What does the EFA look like? Again, we got a EFA group for teams that are kind of protecting the teams when it comes to everything that they were struggling with from the ELF. Will we get some sort of governing body to protect the players, right? To protect the players. I know they tried to start one after year 2, but no one really they tried to start an ELF PA, but that didn't really go anywhere. Will we get something like that? Because if we get something like that, and even with the EFA, it seems like we're going to get some type of collaboration. Now we're talking about collective bargaining. Now we're talking about these two parties coming together to agree on the vision of the league. So I'm really interested to see how the league is going to play out because, not going to lie, when I saw Sume step down, I thought, wow, just like most, the ELF is done. Well, maybe it's not. Locker room, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Athletes Forum Podcast.